When we're talking about Bitcoin today, this market is incredibly resilient right now, and we have all the buy the dip people yelling and screaming continuously that the market is going to continue to break up, especially when we started to see these pullbacks here and the people start saying, in the news and these moon boys to buy this dip. Note how the channel held the buy the dip people before slaughtering them. It didn't even make it up to this long trending line here where we've connected these data points. Again, buying the dip would have destroyed you. This is a really bad strategy, buying the dip. Again, buying the dip again and getting destroyed here again in this channel. The median price here. Again, moving up and challenging this top here. Another buy the dip moment where again traders were treated to another leg down. Again, they were told to buy the dip, and then we had a lower top again, not even making it to the trend line or our 100 day moving average here. And then another leg down. Again, as I've been stating to you for quite a while here, this market is looking ripe for another leg down, and I don't see the evidence right now of a breakout. The buy the dip people again bought the dip and were destroyed. You buy the dip and you get destroyed. You keep buying the dip and you get destroyed. You bought the dip again, and we were warning to watch out for this channel top here, and we were stating that by around the 4th of April, or 180 days from our top, that we would start to see a change in trend. And sure enough, we've come up again with the buy the dip people. We're going to break out, and here we are back at this trend line. And we are now going to utilize this market maneuver here to bring us into our next leg. Let's go ahead and use one of our indicators here. Bars pattern. I'm going to copy this so that you can see what we're talking about here. Just going to line this up right on top of there so that we get a good view of this. I'm going to change the color. So here, our last channel is subsequently very similar and rhyming with this current market structure and this channel. And notably, we are right near this change. I've been talking about this for several weeks and about a month or so, that we are in another channel and we'd be testing this area here. And 71 and 72 is a major area. We have a stellium of planets here. Right now we have Mars has aligned and was conjunct yesterday fully with Neptune, the planet of illusion. It's about to become conjunct in several days with Saturn, and that conjunction will be on the 16th of April with Mars and Saturn. Now we also have the planet of communication, which is Mercury. It's a disruptor as well, and we will be seeing this planet here making a conjunction with, well, first Neptune around the 17th of April, and then shortly thereafter it would be making another conjunction with Saturn on the 20th. So we really feel strongly that somewhere around this area here we're going to be seeing a restructuring, and right with the planet Saturn here, which rules regulations, laws, structure. It's a planet of the 30-year cycle. It's a great cycle, and William Gann spoke about this a lot in his work, about his 10, 20, and 30-year cycles. And the 30-year cycle is a big cycle. Also the 60-year cycle, which is 2 circles of Saturn. So looking at our chart now, we see that the market has started to show a possible rollover here. I'm just going to move this out of the way so we can look at it a bit better. And the structure is showing that we've been holding at this 72 because the energy of all these planets here are sitting at our ring on our circle at 72, right? Because the circle is 360 degrees. Adding another 360 degrees gives us 720. And this is how the longitude of prices are created under the methods of William Gann. And I, of course, took many years to discover his complexities of his methods, and this is something that I painfully worked through, and it took me quite a while to create this tool and to figure out and backtest all his work from his books and courses, because I own pretty much every single book and course that he put out. And in those, he talks about the longitude of prices using the soya beans, and I have that 3-page document which I provide in my online forecasting course, as well as I teach this and guide students and institutions as well with the longitude of prices and how to make yearly, annual forecasts based upon William's methods. And I don't add anything and I don't take away anything. His work is standalone, and I stand behind him and shoulder to shoulder with him. His work is amazing and incredible, and I'm happy to be sharing this knowledge with you. So in this, I'm stating if we don't get above this 77 level where we have Uranus sitting here, and we've tried to get up to that level. We made it as high as 76 right here. Nobody can dispute that. And we've backed off and we've come back down, and our pullbacks in this have brought us back to 65,000, and 65,000 is right where Pluto is sitting right here on our circle. 66 is right here on the wheel. So this is a very strong point. We make a breakdown below 66, and this opens us up to the next ring down, and we have the stellium of these planets at 36, 38, 40, 42, and as high as 47 here. And then we have the south node holding the other side at 52. So we were stating very strongly that we expected a bounce in, the late May period up to 54. I stated this a while back in one of my tutorials. So when we make our move down in the late April, we're going to have a move up to around, I said 54,000, or in this late May, and this does confirm that we would be looking for a resistance level within this quadrant and area of prices due to the longitude of these bodies. So let's just be mindful that we're about to see another major volatile leg down. Even though I kept calling this months and weeks ahead, I get a lot of hate when I say that the market is going to make another volatile move, and I know it's not the nicest thing to hear bad news, but I'd rather be prepared in hearing bad news than sugarcoat and lose money, and that's definitely not one of my methods. I'm very conservative, I'm ultra conservative, and I'm very careful with my placement. Here we're getting ready for a possible short campaign here, and our stops should be placed above the highest high here at this 76. I'm stating that a stop should be no less than 81 to 83,000, right up in here, right where this trend line comes down above our top here. This is where the stops should be to save you from a possible move up. This is all fake out stuff here. We're getting ready for a major move down, and like we were stating before, the bottom from here to here was 77 days, and we are looking therein for another area of around the possible same area of 77, 78, 79 days, where we will be down to this area. And Venus will be conjunct Uranus. Uranus is at 29 degrees right now of Taurus, and we will be seeing this planet Venus conjunct with Uranus here, and we're going to be seeing Mercury conjunct Saturn here. So this is a big point, as well as the Sun will be halfway between these two conjunctions, between these sets of planets here. So this leads us that the Sun will be around that time on the 24th of April, the 20th to the 25th. This brings us to the 39K level, right? Because 36, 37, 38, there's 39. So at 39,000 lies right directly within the next band for our low, and we expect to be getting a lot of feedback when this rollover happens and we continue to bounce into this area around this 54, 55 area here, where we'll see again resistance, and we'll see that out as far as, well, possibly this June area again, if we're to re-replicate both of these areas here within these moves. Sorry if you can't see that as well. I know the square is in the way. We'll tighten this up a little bit so that we can view it a little bit easier. Also note our 1 year low in April, where we called this low and we called this top. We had Jordan from Crypto Explained Easy, or to me, sorry. I always get his name wrong with his channel, but he's a wonderful fella. He interviewed our channel on the 13th or 14th of April, just over a year ago. And we stated that to watch the May 19th to 23rd area for a change in trend. And sure enough, this again was a market area where we could have seen a top form, and we called that right out. As well, we called out our 19th month top from our halving, which occurred back in 2024, and I wanted to also point out our 1,067 day count from the November low at 15,000. So I had two market metrics of mathematical probabilities, and they both worked out, so I wanted to share that with you. So what is it that we're going to see here? Well, we're going to see still another push against this line before we move down. And let's go take a look at our indicators, because they've been coiling up. Let's first go take a look at the MACD. So I've populated from our May top a year ago a trend line connecting as many data points on our RSI on the MACD, and you can see that we've come up perfectly again on this last rollover here, and we are attempting to get above it. However, it looks as though the energy has dissipated and the histogram bars have turned over, and the bearish sentiment is about to begin. And this is a indicator that shows us that once this curls and rolls over and we get these white histogram bars, then we get to see, you know, a very big move down. So be expectant of that. Let's go take a look at the RSI now. RSI, a relative strength indicator. We've made a bottom. I moved up an aggressive trend line underneath it here. We could say we could use this one here and tighten it up a little bit. And you can see that, you know, with that we peaked out here, and we've now made our curl and our rollover on the RSI. Any move underneath 50 with this RSI indicator would be detrimental and prove a bear market is in fact still ensuing. Let's go ahead and look at our leading and lagging indicator, the stochastic. Again, we've had this tremendous rip off this floor here with our indicator, and of course it is topped out perfectly with our last few days in our topping pattern on the market, where we've come up and touched the line on the downward trending white angle. So you can see that we have crossed over and this is rapidly moving down. So looking at that, if we were to put a trend line on here, it would state that we would be somewhere down in this area. You know, let's just do that right now, just see how aggressive this market could get. Following a trend of what these two lines, it states that we have something very similar to a move back down like this, equaling our low. And then from there we'll get another bounce up into May, or late May, which I think we would be seeing. And just let's take a look at what that would look like on our stochastic. So following our just latest move up here, we would take that and we'd say, well, into our low here, we would be seeing a topping pattern, like I said, around the 19th of May, which is my birthday. And we would be seeing a topping pattern around Bitcoin coming up and possibly touching as high as 54,000, as we've been indicating on our chart here. So stating that sometime into May, around that period, we'd be pushing up around and making a channel top around this 54,000. This is what the chart is showing us with all the indicators, our mathematical probabilities, and I wanted to share that with you. You know, I'm always early to the party, and I'm always early to leave the party. You know, it's just safer. It's much safer than hanging around and waiting for the market to run out and, you know, you can't leave. So this is a warning that we're about to see some major volatility here, and I've been warning you about this, and I'm going to continue to warn you even in the face of being told that I'm completely wrong. You know, even though we've called out, you know, our top here in this market, as I stated, right, our 17, 18, and 19 months from our halving event, and our 1,067 days from bottoms to tops. And I go back and I study history of all the past cycles, as I did in my last tutorial. I showed you how long the bear markets would be, 12, 13, and 14 months, and then I showed you that they would have the very same amount of months, 34 and 35 months from the lows to the tops. And if you just go back and just gently sit down and watch those tutorials, then you can open up your chart and you can do the very same thing and make these determinations. I really wish to help people to not only understand market behavior, but to increase their portfolio using the tools that we have created under my guide, William Gann, probably the most smartest man ever to show market behavior. There's a lot of good market operators, but in my opinion, William does the best job in explaining everything about time cycles and longitude of price. It's amazing. I get lost in all his books regularly, and I always find something new. When I open up his books and I read Tunnel Through the Air, I find something new every single time. And he states clearly that if you read his book or read these books 3 times, you'll know pretty much everything. And I think that that book alone, The Tunnel Through the Air, as well as 45 Years in Wall Street, are his 2 best publications. And I can point out for days, weeks, months, and years the amount of incredible knowledge and information that he provides in just those 2 books alone. And this would last a lifetime. I could do YouTube channels, tutorials on his findings and his work, and it's just incredible the amount of patience and time that he has spent in creating a system and method of understanding market behavior before it happens and providing accurate outlooks on what the market is likely to do. And his success rate is about 96%, he stated in many of his publications. And I have a very good successful rate as well of about that high 90s. Well, I'd say mid 90s, low mid 90s, successful, touching my rock of success, holding firm to utilizing the information properly, not letting the moon boys and the media sway my judgment. And of course you're inundated every day with market sentiment from all these operators stating to you that Bitcoin's gonna moon out and take off, and then we have a bunch of these YouTubers that have all these disgusting looking faces that you missed out, you should buy now and buy the dip, and it's just never ending the amount of assaults on the trader's mindset and their emotional standpoint to buy and sell and to be ahead of the market. So knowing all of this, the best thing is to just sit back and be very, very conservative. And watching what William Gann has done in the past and utilizing and applying his methods will save you time and time again. So again, we've just taken the market here and we've just copied our last few channels to make this. Let's go ahead and let's just remove this and we'll add another one. Let's just take our first move down and we will look at what that would have looked like with our channel. Alright, so I missed the one low bar that I wanted to get in there, so let's just go back and get this properly. So looking at the market now from this perspective, it was in a very, very, very weak position at the top, and utilizing that first move down, we can see that the amplitude of the moves here would have exceeded what we have for our trend lines. And looking at this, we now know that our next channel, the topping of this channel, comes right in this May, and I've been stating this for quite a few tutorials that around 54,000 we'll be seeing a top. And it doesn't necessarily mean that has to happen, but the likelihood, given the market maneuvering and the positioning, as well as the data that has suggested this, and using our square to find out where all these points are, we can note that on the wheel 54 is sitting here, and by May, when the sun moves up into this area here, we will be seeing a 54,000 channel top here. Now, I've marked on this lower trend line here. This goes back a long way. We looked at this the other day in a tutorial I did on predicting the future based upon the market's movements and mathematical probabilities. So are we going to fall back down to this 15,000 here? I don't really think we will. I really feel that we're going to make a low here around this 28,000. Why do I state that? Well, 28 is conjunct 126, and a move down to 23,000 would be a 90-degree move down, or 2 squares and a half. So, sorry, 4 squares and a half. 2, 4 squares, and back to this is 6, sorry, and a half squares back to 23. So our last top, we did 69,000. Everybody remembers that, right? And everyone was telling me it was going to continue to moon out and we were going to go way up. And what did we do? We moved all the way down to 15,000, which is a 90-degree square. So that's 2, 4 and a half squares in price we moved back. So I believe we're going to be a higher multitude. We're going to still come back. We're going to hit this 28, and we're going to be making a low in this area. And we could wick down as low as to 23 here. I mean, it's possible we could get right down into this area right here before we have a major reversal. So I just wanted to point that out, that the market has, shown this weakness, and we need to be very careful. Now we could extend this with our bar pattern, which I'm going to do right now because, this is what I do. I analyze markets, and I have an aptitude for forecasting based upon Gann's movements and the way that he charts things, because I do it the same way that he's addressed it in his work, and I don't add or take away from his work. And as you can see, we're going to just continue to follow this movement, and we're going to get into another lower channel, and the price resistance levels, in my opinion, will be somewhere around this 48 and 49,000, and that represents right here where Jupiter is sitting at 47. So be prepared that this will be an area where we're going to be moving around the most after we make our capitulation low at 39,000. 39 is sitting here where the sun is going to hit, and I expect that to take place around this late April period. Let's go ahead and let's just move all this ahead, and let's just have a look at what this may look like moving forward again. Oops, no, we don't want to do that. So later on in the year here, we'd be seeing lows in and around this area. I said around this 28, which is conjunct 126. 27 is conjunct 124. And we've had a series of tops back in July, August, and October, where I was calling out this market tops for the end of the year around the October period. So this brings us back to this long trending line here, and let's just take a look at that, just because I think it's important that we review history, because history is but a repetition of the future.